They have been essentially deceiving the taxpayer because they've been receiving services for free all this time. And they have harmed the taxpayer, they have harmed UMC, they have harmed Texas Tech, they have harmed this community.
El Paso's county judge with strong words for the El Paso Children's Hospital Board.
It comes as a proposed deal to keep children from filing for bankruptcy falls through. Complete coverage of today's big story continues right now. Thanks for being with us. I'm Estela Casas.
And I'm Rick Cabrera. This is ABC-7 at 6. News of children's opting for bankruptcy broke just after 10:30 this morning.
And since then, our entire news staff has been hard at work following all sides of the story and asking questions you want answered. Tonight, 3 reporters on this developing story,
including Andrew J. Polk and Ashley Rodriguez, who are both outside Children's. Plus, we have Darren Hunt live in our newsroom.
Darren starts with the ins and outs of why University Medical Center's offer to save Children's was not accepted.
He begins our complete coverage you won't find anywhere else. Darren?
Rick and Estelle, El Paso Children's Hospital CEO Mark Herbers appeared not only somber but somewhat frustrated during this morning's news conference while delivering this decision to file for bankruptcy. Herbers said the reasoning behind the restructuring move was control. It's designed to keep Children's an independent, freestanding hospital and out of the direction and financial control of UMC, a county hospital that serves adults. Now, Herbers said both parties left mediation in March, having agreed to terms and an agreed deadline of April 30th to finalize that agreement, but it didn't happen. Herbers said Children's told UMC over and over that last Friday had to be the new and final deadline, but Herbers said UMC unilaterally changed the terms and submitted a completely different offer last Wednesday. He added there were 2 major sticking points, but declined to elaborate. That's when I pressed him on that point.
To some degree, it's no longer relevant because we were not successful in reaching any deal within a reasonable period of time. And our mission now is to go forward and take care of the children.
Can you elaborate on those 2 conditions? I mean, that's what obviously caused you to go this direction at this point. I think the public has a right to know what those 2 conditions are that were not there.
And again, I would say it's really not relevant because we have taken this decisive action to protect the children and we're going forward.
Now, while Herbers would not discuss the sticking points, even when pressed, County Commissioner David Stout did tell us what he thinks were the sticking points were in the negotiations. Rick?
Darren, thank you very much. Commissioner Stout says the deal failed because of a lien UMC placed on the Children's Hospital, and Children's wanted that lien removed. A lien is a claim on assets to assure payment of a debt, and Stout says removing it would have been too big a risk for taxpayers.
Commissioner Stout also says Children's was concerned about language in the contract. He says it hinted at a possible merger or the elimination of services if Children's did not meet its obligations.
The CEO of Children's wrote a letter to supporters today saying, quote, "This action will not affect the care children will receive at EPCH." And he said bankruptcy will protect Children's from a UMC takeover, saying UMC and its board of directors will have no supervisory, advisory, or operational control of El Paso Children's Hospital.
Herbers went on to say UMC's role will be that of a building landlord and will provide common services to El Paso Children's. As you heard at the top of this newscast, County Judge Veronica Escobar is not pleased with what happened today. She says the El Paso Children's Board is deceiving everyone who tried to help save the hospital.
Other county commissioners are reacting to the news as well, like Commissioner Vince Perez. Earlier today, he sent us this statement, quote, "Today's reckless decision by El Paso Children's Hospital Board is a slap in the face to all El Paso County taxpayers who have been financially supporting the Children's Hospital for months." ABC-7's Andrew J. Polk is live outside Children's Hospital with more of the county's reaction. Andrew?
Rick and Estella, county commissioners have been deeply involved in the negotiations between El Paso Children's and UMC, the county's hospital, for months now. But they say that the decision by El Paso Children's to file for bankruptcy came as a surprise, but not a wholly unexpected one.
I didn't really get a lot of information out of Mr. Evers' press conference today when it came to the future of the Children's Hospital. He talked a lot about what went on to get to this point, but he really didn't talk about what's actually going to happen with the Children's Hospital. I'm not a lawyer either.
David Stout and the other county commissioners I spoke with today said they didn't think bankruptcy filing would lead to a good resolution, either for El Paso Children's or UMC in the county. County Judge Veronica Escobar says that she'll have to learn more from bankruptcy attorneys they'll be consulting in the very near future, but big legal fees for UMC and the county are likely on the horizon as the fight continues on the more than $90 million debt that El Paso Children's disputes.
What I have heard from some folks inside of Children's, some employees, is that the Children's Hospital Board somehow believes that by declaring bankruptcy, it wipes away all their debt. That's not the case.
Judge Escobar told me that they'll be getting consultation from attorneys in closed session this Thursday and be making more decisions on next actions based off of that. Reporting live in Central El Paso, Andrew J. Polk, ABC-7.
Okay, Andrew, thank you very much. And just before news time, we received a statement from UMC about today's developments. It starts ominously saying a new relationship between UMC and Children's is underway. Quote, it says, "It is especially appalling," UMC Board Chairman Steve DeGroat said, "for Children's Hospital to blame its lack of payment to UMC based on the agreements they executed with UMC.
EPCH continued to receive services and use of a county-owned building, but saw fit to pay nothing. Not a single penny in the last year was paid by EPCH for services it readily accepted. You can read that entire statement right now on our website, KVIA.com.
And El Paso State Senator Jose Rodriguez is also not pleased with the news. Today he's saying, quote, "It took many years and significant effort for our community to have our own standalone children's hospital. I urge EPCH to keep an open line of communication with UMC and the El Paso County Commissioners Court to ensure that we can continue to provide quality health care for our children."
Where does today's announcement leave the patients? Children's CEO said expect business as usual and patient care won't be affected. That doesn't keep some parents from worrying. Many of them would have to leave town to receive the same care.
And that's very disturbing because this is something that El Paso does need, especially, it's hard, because when my daughter was born, they had to send us out of town. And it's frustrating when we have somewhere where we can just come here.
We are breaking details on the dispute at this hour. New information we gleaned from the bankruptcy document says Children's wants a judge to force UMC back into mediation. The request reads, quote, "The third time's a charm." In it, Children's asks that a sitting or former bankruptcy judge preside over a full day of mediation, that only one rep from each hospital and their attorneys be present, and that the agreement be binding so that even if it has to be approved by Commissioner's Court, it cannot be changed.
We know this is a lot to take in tonight, and you may be asking yourself, so what does this all mean?
ABC-7's Ashley Rodriguez is live outside Children's tonight. She just spoke with a former El Paso bankruptcy lawyer who says this is a bad decision by Children's. Ashley, elaborate for us.
The question is there a strategic advantage to filing Chapter 11 bankruptcy? Spira CEO Andy Krafser says no. He's a former bankruptcy trustee and lawyer. He says it's a real shame these two couldn't agree on a settlement because bankruptcy is bad for everyone involved. Chapter 11 bankruptcy allows a company to reorganize its financial affairs, but Krafser doesn't think Children's can stay in Chapter 11 for long. It doesn't appear they have enough money to operate profitably. Then it has to figure out how to pay back all its creditors, which won't be easy. It owes upwards of $100 million. Now, also, this is a creditor-controlled process, and UMC is a secure creditor. This is an advantage for UMC. Krafser says UMC has veto power over any bankruptcy plan. But the big issue is because they can't agree, this process could potentially drag on for a long time. And it's an expensive process. There's lots of lawyer bills, which Children's doesn't have the money to pay for. And Krafser says the UMC taxpayer shouldn't have to pay for them either.
This case isn't going to do any good for anybody, okay? It's going to cost a lot of money. It's going to take up a lot of time. It's going to create bad press. And at the end of the day, the people that are going to be hurt are the employees of the hospital and the patients. I mean, 10 years from now, when the hospital is out trying to raise capital or attract doctors, this is going to become part of their legacy forever. It's just not a good thing.
Now, he says the worst case scenario is that this process drags on for months and months. But the best case scenario is that this case is dissolved and dismissed this week. Back to you.
Okay, Ashley, thank you very much. And the first pleading in the case was a motion by Children's to force mediation with UMC, so we'll see what happens.
ABC-7, of course, is committed to bringing you complete coverage of the story. We have been since 2007.
We're taking a look back now at how we got to this point. Nearly 8 years ago, in November 2007, El Pasoans voted for a $120 million bond to build a separately licensed children's hospital. In February of 2009, the groundbreaking was held, and exactly 3 years later, the hospital opened on time and on budget.
El Paso Children's Hospital, although built with taxpayer money, is the only not-for-profit children's hospital in the El Paso area. According to its website, it has 122 private pediatric rooms and employs more than 30 pediatric subspecialists.
All of this information can be found now at KVIA.com. You can read on the financial woes from spring 2014 to now, plus stories about bankruptcy possibility, and we have the details on today's announcement, which includes a full news conference that happened this morning. Complete coverage of Children's Hospital filing for bankruptcy, only on ABC-7.
And we